picture a cavern, right? Like a cavern so incredibly vast that it basically generates its own weather.
Oh, yeah, like sitting right at the peak of this grueling, totally treacherous summit.
Exactly. And, imagine you drag yourself over that final ledge. You are just completely exhausted. I mean, you've spent every single dime and every ounce of energy you possess to find this legendary hoard of gold.
Right, the ultimate payoff.
But instead of treasure, you find a 25,929-year-old dragon. And this ancient, magnificent beast, he's adorned with these gold and silver scales, vibrating with emerald and jade feathers. He isn't guarding piles of coins.
No, not at all.
He is literally using the charred, melted bones of the adventurers who came before you as a classroom whiteboard, just to teach you a lesson about your own greed.
It's wild. It completely shatters your understanding of reality in that single moment. I mean,
Yeah.
you are suddenly confronted by this cosmic force that views your life's singular obsession, which is material wealth, as nothing more than, well, a pathetic, fatal joke.
Yeah, it's honestly terrifying. And that is the wildly disorienting scenario we are pulling you into today in this deep dive. We are exploring the legend of Fuzanglong.
A creature who totally flips the entire dragon mythology on its head.
Exactly. And our mission today is to extract the sheer essence of this entity's wisdom. We are going to trace his teachings from that really terrifying, fiery encounter with the stubborn human treasure hunter, all the way to his quiet, almost melancholic, cosmic reflections carried on the wind.
And to do this, we're diving into an incredible collection of sources. We have these ancient narratives alongside the really meticulous field-level notes of a traveling scholar named Shan Chai.
Right, Shanchai.
Yeah, he documented the extensive lore surrounding the Akkad Mountain and the surrounding Whispering Woods. And what his texts reveal is a being who just doesn't hoard gold or gems or stolen royalty. Fuzanglong hoards lessons.
I love that concept. He hoards lessons.
Right. He is basically the ultimate patient observer of the human condition. He just collects the psychological triumphs and the tragic failures of everyone who crosses his threshold.
So let's set the stage with the human element of our story first. We have this young, fiercely ambitious merchant named Thomas of Stonegate.
Oh, Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas has completely bought into the tavern tales of this unbelievable treasure known as Marcus's Folly, which is supposedly hidden deep within the Akhet Mountain. And I mean, Thomas mortgages his entire future for this.
He risks absolutely everything.
Every last penny. He endures a nightmare journey. He sneaks past ogres. He survives these dark, venomous forests, and he completely empties his bank account to finance the climb.
And when he finally steps into that cavern at the peak, his brain is just totally wired to see one thing: gold coins and jewel-encrusted goblets.
Exactly.
But instead, he finds Fuzanglong. And Thomas's reaction here is just a complete masterclass in human blindness.
Oh, it's so frustrating to read.
Right. The cavern is littered with the macabre remains of men who came seeking the exact same shortcut to wealth. Yet, Thomas doesn't even fully register the danger. He doesn't even see the majestic miracle of the creature sitting right in front of him.
He's literally squinting into the shadows.
Yes, squinting, trying to look past the giant dragon to see if the treasure is hiding in the back. Fuzanglong recognizes this pathetic tunnel vision instantly, of course. He looks down at this tiny, grasping mortal and says, quote, "Lightning flashing, sparks glittering, a moment's blinking, beauty missed forever."
Okay, let's unpack this because Thomas's blindness is, it's uncomfortably familiar, right?
Very much so.
Imagine staring at some mind-numbing spreadsheet on your phone while your child takes their first steps right in front of you. Or, ignoring a literal supernova in the night sky because you're busy searching the sidewalk for a dropped quarter.
That's the perfect analogy. Hustle culture in a nutshell.
Yeah, Thomas is entirely locked onto his predetermined goal, that status symbol of Marcus's Folly, that he just becomes completely numb to the profound reality of the present moment. He's missing a miracle because he was looking for a paycheck.
And the tragedy really goes even deeper than just missing the view. Fuzanglong is practically radiating ancient power and the smell of sulfur, and he delivers this piercing ultimate challenge to the merchant. He simply asks Thomas, "Who are you?"
Wow, that is a terrifying question when you've built your entire identity around a completely superficial goal.
Exactly. If you strip away the desire for the gold or the desperation to be the guy who conquered the mountain, what is actually left of Thomas?
Probably not much, to be honest.
Right, and that is the exact mechanism Fuzanglong is exposing. Mortals constantly chain their identities to fleeting feelings, to empty promises, and things they absolutely cannot control. The dragon follows up his question by telling Thomas, "Before your first step was taken, you already arrived."
I have to say, I read that line in the source material and it just stopped me in my tracks. Before your first step was taken, you already arrived. It completely dismantles the illusion that you have to acquire something external to have value.
It really does.
Like all that frantic striving up the mountain, the near-death experiences, all of it was fundamentally unnecessary to his actual worth.
Well, think about it from the perspective of a being that has lived nearly 26,000 years, right? He's watched entire empires rise, build these massive monuments, and then just crumble into dust. So to him, the concept of hoarding shiny metal is completely absurd.
It's laughable to a dragon like that.
Exactly. Fu Zhenglong understands that the journey itself, the raw experience of existence, is the actual gemstone. The moments of struggle, of sudden realization, of simply breathing the mountain air, those are the jewels.
But Thomas is, he's operating on this microscopic mortal timeline. He's driven by this intense, terrifying sense of scarcity.
Yeah, he's trapped in it.
And what makes Thomas such a fantastic lens for this story is that despite this cosmic dressing down from an immortal being, he remains so frustratingly stubborn.
He really doesn't get it at first.
No, he doesn't have an instant enlightenment at all. He actually drops to his knees and begs the dragon for the gold. He pleads that he spent every shilling he earned, that he has nothing left, and he just cannot face the humiliation of walking back down the mountain empty-handed to his friends.
Which is so human, honestly. And Fu Zhenglong, getting understandably exasperated with this tiny mammal, decides to explain why the treasure is even sitting in his cave to begin with.
Right, he tries a different approach.
Yeah, he pivots to a teaching method humans might actually understand better, a story within the story. Fu Zhenglong tells Thomas the parable of a legendary hero named Roger.
Ah, yes, the story of Roger.
Roger was renowned, but he harbored a fatal psychological flaw. He was deeply impatient and just completely obsessed with swift success. He was constantly looking for the shortcut to greatness, the quick hack to legendary status.
But I mean, taking shortcuts in a dangerous world usually means bypassing the very experiences that make you capable of surviving it in the first place.
Precisely. And that is the core mechanism of his downfall. Seeking a fast track to unimaginable wealth, Roger leads an expedition that gets ambushed by a massive force.
Yeah.
He's completely overwhelmed.
Just totally routed.
Yeah, and in this brutal, humiliating defeat, his enemies strip him of his mighty helm, his agile gauntlets, and his legendary shield. They basically leave him beaten, bloodied, and winded on the ground.
So the armor, like the physical symbols of his so-called hero status, are completely ripped away. But why does the story focus so much on him being stripped down? Like, what is the dragon actually trying to show Thomas here?
Well, it reveals the profound difference between wearing the costume of a hero and actually possessing the substance of one. Stripped down to absolute vulnerability, Roger has this devastating realization.
An epiphany, basically.
Right. He recognizes that beneath his impenetrable armor, his opportunistic greed had actually made him a coward. When you buy the armor without fighting the battles that build real courage, you panic the moment you're hit.
Wow. The shortcut robbed him of his resilience.
Exactly. So what does Roger do with the heavy sack of treasure he actually managed to retain during the ambush? He drags it all the way to the coastline and throws it directly into the sea.
He voluntarily casts away the exact wealth he literally almost died trying to secure.
Yep. He throws it all away.
The humbling was just so severe that the gold instantly lost its value compared to the crushing weight of his new self-awareness.
And here's the twist that actually explains Fu Zhenglong's hoard. The dragon later dove into the ocean and salvaged Roger's discarded, rusted relics from the bleached corals.
Not because they were worth money, though.
No, not at all. He saved them because they had become saturated with the hero's hard-won wisdom. Fu Zhenglong hoarded them to preserve the tangible story of human hubris, a terrifying fall, and ultimate redemption.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, though. The dark comedy of this encounter is absolutely brilliant because Thomas listens to this deeply moving, profound parable about letting go of greed.
And he completely misses the point.
Yes. His reaction is basically, "Great story, dragon, so, can I have some gold now?"
It's unbelievable.
He still refuses to leave without something to show his friends. He completely misses the point in the short term. And Fu Zhenglong's response is hilarious. He gives Thomas 0 gold.
None.
Nothing of monetary value. Instead, he hands Thomas a scorched, battered shield that belonged to a previous dead adventurer. And he only gives it to Thomas because the dragon art painted on the shield is so grotesquely ugly that it offends Fu Zhenglong's aesthetic sensibilities.
I know, it is phenomenal detail in the lore. The dragon literally just wanted the ugly painting out of his living room.
So Thomas hikes all the way back down this lethal mountain, physically drained, completely financially ruined, holding nothing but a horribly painted, burnt piece of wood.
It really begs the question, I mean, did this incredible encounter just bounce right off of him?
Well, in that immediate moment, Thomas definitely feels like a catastrophic failure. But this is where the scholar Shan Chai's notes provide a vital synthesis of human psychology.
Right, Shan Chai breaks it down perfectly. He writes that the real wealth was not what Thomas hoped to gain, but what he was forced to leave behind in that cavern.
His illusions of control.
Yes, and his tightly clenched greed. Shan Chai notes that both Roger and Thomas departed, their respective encounters fundamentally changed. They walked away with empty hands, yes, but those empty hands were a strict requirement for holding on to the wisdom they received.
That makes so much sense. You physically and mentally cannot grasp a new truth if your fists are white-knuckled around your old desires.
Exactly. Thomas survived, and the sheer magnitude of the encounter planted a seed deep in his psyche.
Which is incredibly true to how we process major life events, honestly. Wisdom rarely blooms the exact moment the seed is planted. Sometimes a brutal lesson needs years of quiet gestation in the subconscious before it finally cracks open.
It needs time to marinate.
Yeah, and that naturally takes us to the next phase of Thomas's life. The sources jump forward several years. Thomas is older now, definitely slightly battered by life. He is working as a town guardsman, which is a monotonous job that leaves him somewhat disillusioned. But interestingly, he has adopted a tiny dragon hatchling he found.
Right, which adds a bit of chaotic magic to his otherwise mundane routine.
He has settled into the rhythm of ordinary survival, but the psychological weight of the mountain still gnaws at him.
So one night, sleeping in this cramped, drafty inn, Thomas has an incredibly vivid, terrifying dream. He dreams he is back at the Aket Mountain, trying desperately to reach Fuzonglong's cavern again. But this time there is no dragon waiting quietly.
It's a complete nightmare scenario.
Thomas is caught in a violent tempest. Sleet is lashing his face, thunder is cracking the sky apart, avalanches are tearing down the slopes. It's a state of pure chaos and vulnerability. He is fighting the mountain with every ounce of his strength, screaming into the wind, just trying to survive the climb. And cutting straight through the cacophony of that storm, Fuzonglong's voice returns, booming over the wind. The dragon delivers the absolute climax of the dream's wisdom. He tells Thomas, quote, "The difficult task is not to ascend the summit, but to let go of the illusion that you are separate from the mountain. When you realize your true nature, the mountain disappears. You find yourself already at the summit."
Wow. Stop fighting the mountain because you literally are the mountain.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is a masterclass in what philosophers call non-dual wisdom. The raging storm in the dream isn't just weather. It represents Thomas's lingering internal doubts, his daily conflicts, and his endless resistance to the reality of his own life.
That constant friction we all feel.
Right. We exhaust ourselves because we treat our environments, our careers, and our challenges as alien, hostile forces that must be wrestled into submission.
It makes me think of swimming against a violent rip current in the ocean. If you treat the water as an enemy you have to outmuscle to get straight back to shore, you will quickly exhaust yourself and drown. The resistance itself is what kills you.
That is a brilliant way to look at it.
The moment you realize you are in the water, subject to its vast physics, you stop fighting the current. You swim parallel to the shore. You align with the reality of the ocean instead of fighting the separation. That is what Fu Zhenglong is offering Thomas, a way to navigate existence where you aren't constantly at war with your own life.
It is the ultimate resolution of tension. You stop trying to conquer reality, and you start participating in it. Fu Zhenglong teaches him to conquer uncertainty, not by pushing harder against the sleet, but by inhaling the breathtaking stillness of his own mind.
And once he gets that, everything shifts.
Yeah, once Thomas truly digests this in his dream, he wakes up in that cramped inn, shaken but finally deeply resolute. The lesson from the cavern all those years ago has fully bloomed.
It is just a remarkable character arc, but the source texts don't just leave Fu Zhenglong in the cave acting as a therapist for stubborn merchants, do they?
No, his role is much larger.
Yeah. The dragon is described as a cosmic observer whose insights span across the entire tapestry of nature. The texts shift focus to what the dragon experiences when he simply sits high up in his hidden cave, peering over the meandering valleys, just listening to the whispering woods.
The imagery Shanshai records here is stunning. Fu Zhenglong can literally feel the deep subterranean stirring of the ancient groves. He tastes the shifting stories of the world on the passing wind. He is entirely attuned to the grand sweeping cycles of the earth.
But his observations aren't just peaceful nature poetry. The dragon spends time reflecting on the darker, more insidious forces of the world, specifically the nature of nightmares and what the texts refer to as dream slayers.
Which is a terrifying concept.
It is. Fu Zhenglong makes this terrifying observation that true nightmares, the forces that actually unravel our lives, do not use brute force. They don't kick the door down and attack us head on.
Right, because brute force triggers our survival instincts. We know how to fight or flee from a monster. But dream slayers operate on a completely different psychological level.
They use desire. Fu Zhenglong observes that these nightmares unravel our most trusted assumptions and our moral foundations by offering us something brilliant, something just slightly out of reach. They use our own ambition to lure us out of the safety of our values and right into their jaws.
It is a subtle, almost invisible corruption of our certainty.
Think about how this operates in the modern world. It is the classic scenario of golden handcuffs.
Oh, absolutely.
You take a job that demands you compromise your ethics, ignore your family, and burn out your health. But hey, it pays incredibly well and promises a massive payout someday. That someday keeps moving. But you stay hooked because the desire for the reward overrides your internal alarm bells.
You justify the damage.
Exactly. That is a dream slayer. It is a nightmare wearing the flawless mask of a daydream, slowly draining your soul while you willingly hold out your arms for more. So my question is, how on earth are you supposed to combat a threat that looks exactly like what you want?
It is perhaps the defining vulnerability of human consciousness. And Fu Zhenglong addresses this directly by using a brilliant meditation on the physical art of archery as a mirror for navigating life. The dragon advises, quote, "Focus on your stance and posture more than the target. Attend to knocking the arrow more than distractions."
This raises an important question for anyone listening right now. When you are confronted with a massive goal, an intense desire, or a shiny distraction, are you staring so hard at the target that you completely forget how you are standing?
The mechanics of archery perfectly illustrate this. If you lean too far forward, straining your body just to get an inch closer to the bullseye, you lose your physical balance. The tension on the bowstring changes, your arms shake, and when you finally release, the arrow flies wildly off course anyway. Your stance determines the outcome.
That makes total sense. So the target represents the treasure, the promotion, the outcome, and your stance represents your integrity, your grounding in the present moment, your moral foundation.
Spot on.
If you are destroying your health or betraying your friends to hit a target, your stance is fundamentally broken. The Dream Slayer has already won, even if you hit the bullseye.
Fu Zhenglong teaches that by focusing completely on the mechanics of the present moment, how you are standing, how you are breathing, how you are treating the people around you, the outcome naturally takes care of itself. He urges mortals to observe the effortless natural cycles around them. You know, the sudden bloom of spring redbuds, the quiet rise of the full autumn moon. They do not strain to exist.
They just are.
Right. His ultimate directive is a call for radical mental clarity. Simplify your thoughts and release what is useless.
Release what is useless. We are right back to Roger throwing his heavy, useless treasure into the crushing waves of the sea.
Coming full circle.
Yeah, we are back to Thomas walking down the lethal slopes of a Ket mountain with completely empty hands.
It is the great recurring motif of the dragon's wisdom. You cannot hold on to the truth of reality if you are desperately clinging to illusions. You must empty the cup to taste the tea.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? When we pull back and look at the entire arc of Fu Zhenglong's teachings, from the scorched bones in the cave to the whispers on the cosmic wind, the through line cuts like a knife.
It really does.
The journey reveals that the greatest treasures in existence are not the things we frantically acquire to impress other people. The greatest treasures are the internal realizations that fundamentally transform how we operate in the world. Modern life is absolutely crowded with Marcus's follies, these hollow pursuits and impossible cravings that drain your energy and lure you off the cliff edge. The true wealth is living an authentic life, grounded deeply in your stance, unswayed by the intoxicating pull of fleeting feelings.
And achieving that requires a profound shift in how you relate to the struggles in your life. Which brings us to a final thought I want you to sit with today. We discussed Fu Zhenglong's incredible age, nearly 26,000 years of observing the rise and fall of the world.
A truly massive scale of time.
But consider the reality of impermanence. Even a dragon that ancient, woven into the fabric of the mountain itself, will one day turn to dust. His existence on a cosmic scale is also just a flash of lightning. If a being with tens of thousands of years to live knows that hoarding wealth is a foolish waste of his temporary existence, how much more urgently should a mortal with perhaps 80 years on this earth focus entirely on the integrity of their present stance?
Are you wasting your brief, singular flash of lightning trying to hoard what a dragon already knows is worthless? Let that question echo as you navigate the rest of your week. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep your stance strong, release what is useless, and keep listening to the whispers in your own woods.